In the late 60s, General Motors began to adopt a multi-use model for their trucks. Back then, they saw the potential for the truck to be more than just a workhorse. But they had no idea what was coming. Today, we're going to break down the truck that started the sport truck movement, the OBS. Oh, the 1980s, what a time to be alive. We saw the beginning of MTV, loud fashion trends, a plethora of blockbuster movies, a vibrant music scene. Sports cars and muscle cars were gaining tremendous popularity, and that began to bleed over into people modifying their trucks. And GM began to notice. In 1988, GM debuted a new truck line that was technically a part of the CK family that I covered in the last video, but GMC decided to retire the CK nomenclature in favor of the new Sierra nameplate. GM moved away from the 10, 20, and 30 series names in exchange for 1500, 2500, and 3500 series names. This generation also brought us the first extended cab. However, these early versions of the extended cab did not have a third row door. Engine options were the same as the previous year. You could get a 4.3 liter V6, a 5.0, 5.7, or 7.4 liter V8, all with throttle body injection, or you could opt for a 6.2 liter V8 diesel. You could also choose a 5-speed manual or automatic transmission with overdrive. The 88 and 89 trucks were the same, but here is when we see the shift. In 1989, Chevrolet released their Sport package. This was an appearance package that had the mirrors and grille painted black, color-matched bumpers, fog lights, sports decals, and black rubber body trim with red accents. This was the first truck GM had introduced with an intentional sporty look, and you could get this truck in black, red, or white. While builders were already modifying these trucks like Boyd Coddington, there were also companies like Beltec that were developing lowering suspension kits. Sport Truck Magazine also debuted in 1988, adding more fuel to the fire. In 1990, there was a slight change to the headlights. GM introduced their Sierra ST, which was their version of the Chevrolet Sport truck. Chevy introduced two new trucks in their lineup. One was the WT, or work truck, for those folks who don't like fancy options like power seats and power windows. And they also released a truck called the 454 SS. This truck boasted 255 horsepower, 405 pound-feet of torque. It went 0 to 60 in 7.8 seconds. Okay, so it wasn't like a performance machine you would think it would be nowadays, but it was a start. Unfortunately, this truck was not much of a success and wasn't appreciated for what it was until years later. The 454 SS only had a 3-year production run and was cut in 1993 with only 17,000 trucks being made. 80% of those trucks were made in that first production year. But there was another truck in 1990 that got the sport truck community talking. It wasn't built by Chevy or GMC. It was built by Beltec, and it debuted at the SEMA in 1990. Beltec purchased the truck in tropical turquoise, which was a fleet color that was only available to quantity buyers. They installed their lowering kit and had custom magenta graphics painted by the infamous Pete Santini. After the truck debuted, the sport truck scene went crazy. Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top, Michael Anthony, and Eddie Van Halen of Van Halen all had trucks built by Boyd Coddington. Sport Truck Magazine was filled with trucks built by regular dudes and dudettes. It also had full show quality builds with custom cut wheels, intricate paint jobs, and full custom interiors. We're gonna come back to this topic, so hang in there. The sport truck was discontinued in 1991. The Sierra ST was discontinued in 92. Also in 92, GM came out with their 6.5 liter V8 turbocharged diesel for the heavier trucks. In 1993, Chevrolet sold a limited run of Indy 500 pace trucks, and in 1994, GMC launched the Sierra GT. 1995 also saw some big changes with a new grille. A completely redesigned interior with a new dashboard, seats, center console, door panels. Also, GM introduced driver's side airbags for the lighter trucks, along with four-wheel ABS. And that naturally aspirated 6.5-liter diesel, we got a turbo. 1996 brought the introduction of the more powerful Vortex series for all of the gas engines, and a passenger side third door was added to the extended cabs. In 1997, passenger side airbags were added, and 1998 was the last year of the C&K 1500. Now, just like the last generational change, the GMT 400 body style was produced in the heavier trucks to use up leftover parts. And those slowly transitioned over into the new GMT 800 platform until 2002. Well, let's get back to that sport truck boom. Commercial! But before we do that, I want to let you guys and gals know this is a new video series I'm trying out. Normally, I'm wrenching on these cars and trucks and taking them on road trips and going to car shows, but after running this channel for almost 2 years, I found out that it gets kind of expensive. So if you want to support the channel, you can hop on over to yeahbuddygarage.com to buy some super sweet merch. You could also subscribe to the channel, hit the button to turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our uploads. But let's get back to the juicy part of the sport truck movement. These sport trucks never went away. They only evolved with the times as other auto manufacturers began to release their own sport trucks, and the aftermarket continued to grow. Development of new styles, new technology, and new ideas has been going on since the early 90s, but lately we've seen a resurgence. People have been reviving and updating original trucks built back in the 90s, or building trucks today that resemble those of the 90s. Take Greg Nettles, for example, and his 91 C1500 built by Custom Camp Vans and Services in Riverside, California, rocking the original Beltec lowering kit from 1991. The original 15-inch tri-fan Boyd wheels were lost, so Greg reached out to Hot Rods by Boyd, who's operated by Boyd Coddington's son, Chris, and had them cut new tri-fan wheels in 20 inches so Greg could fit a 14-inch big front and rear brake kit from Little Shop of Manufacturing. Another one is Mark Oja. He has built several OBS trucks, and one of his latest creations was the rebirth of Slick, which was the iconic Beltec truck that debuted at SEMA in 1990. And I'm definitely a part of this resurgence because I'm building this 1988 C1500 with modern technology and retro styling. And I built this 93 Indy 500 tribute truck as a crew cab dually. You also got builders like Jason Mode with new creations and his recently built 1997 GMC Sierra that has a ridiculous amount of metal work, an LT4 with a 10-speed, a full custom interior, and an insane paint job. There's also a ton of companies that support the aftermarket for these trucks, like Beltec Suspension, who still manufacture lowering kits for these trucks today. There's Slosh Tubs, who make parts to customize your engine bay with smooth wheel tubs, firewall and fender filler panels, battery trays, new seat frames. There's also Tinworks Fab that makes frame stiffeners to improve the handling of these trucks. You can even buy full frames for two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive trucks with air ride suspension, coilovers, and it'll handle better than new cars. There's also companies like Roadster Shop Chassis who developed a frame with freaking independent rear suspension. You could also restore your OBS back to factory original condition with companies like Auto Metal Direct, who make factory replacement parts like fenders, hoods, grills, bumpers, and even a complete dash. I know there are so many other companies, trucks, and builders that I could highlight, but the key takeaway is the sport truck scene is stronger than ever. And the OBS, in my eyes, is a modern classic. They drive dang good, they look great going down the road, and the aftermarket support for these trucks is insane. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for breaking down the OBS with me. If you have any suggestions on vehicles you'd like me to do, drop them in the comments below. Bye!